as you reach the top, there's a bit of a platform. It's not directly, it's just that the pipes at the top here are no longer round necessarily. There's portions where it looks like it's been hammered down to make a flat portion of the pipe. It's not been extended in any way, but the pipes are large enough in these trees here due to their sheer size that it's easy to stand here. And along them you see more of these hammered, flattened pipes that kind of lead between the trees. As you see that these are walkways. They're meant to walk along. They're not entirely flat, some of them are kind of wobbly and lumpy. They weren't hammered perfectly, and that's not particularly. It's like someone really came through and just kind of banged down on the pipe to make sure that it was kind of flat so that you could actually have a grip. And the cat figure leads you forward along this path. And as you get past what originally looked like a wall of trees and pipes, you realize it's just this portion of this tangled mess of the wild. This is the heart of the wild. You look down and there's just small portions where there's no pipes and no trees. Other than that, they're just everywhere. They're so far that you feel like you probably couldn't even fall down. Like you could fall, but you wouldn't reach the bottom. You'd get stuck somewhere between the massive arms and branches and things going everywhere. And then ahead of you, precisely where all of these are at the thickest, where there's not really a way down, you see a kind of village built into the treetops. It looks like they're made of the pipes of the trees. Like they were taken and they were bent into specific forms so that they have the perimeters of houses of kinds, but it's not like houses you've seen. And you understand that they probably don't need houses here. They just kind of need a roof so that it doesn't rain on them, which they mostly already get from all the leaves. All of these pipes are just created to create the outsides of a house. And they're done in such a way that they have multiple layers of leaves above each other so that it's all funneled off, that it doesn't enter the center of these houses. And moving within this village of kind, as there's many of these structures, these pulled and changed pieces, there's lots of these cats. Some have longer hair, some of it shorter and trimmed and such, but they all look very lynx-esque. All very nimble and maneuverable. Some of them standing on 2 feet with 4 in the air, kind of doing something on their walls. Some of them simply walking around slinking with something in their mouth, kind of carrying something, pouches sometimes. And the cat seems to be leading the figure in a very specific direction. As you see one larger area that seems to be where a decent number of these cats seem to be gathered. Just kind of ambling around this central area. It looks like a plaza or something, but it's all roofed over by these leaves. And so the question is, where do you want to go? Do you want to keep following the figure, or do you want to explore on your own? You want to follow the figure? Maybe. You cannot decide. Okay, figure it is. So you follow the figure, and ahead of you there's, I'd say, a bunch of cats. What could go wrong with a bunch of cats? Cats are fine. Especially bobcats that are known for hunting things. But hey, you're a ghost figure. You hope they can't reach you. So you kind of stay with the figure, and the figure just clonk, 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 clonk. As it enters the center, kind of puts its hand on what seem to be its legs. It's kind of slowly lowers itself down and then sits on the floor. It makes a bit of a, well, it's definitely much more of a hollow sound as it just resonates down the pipe and off somewhere as it echoes back and forth for a whole while. And some of the cats look around, take notice, and then continue doing their things. It's very, very cat-esque. Looking at them more closely, you can see that they have fur, but each of the tiny pieces of fur it's like these very fine wires. Huge numbers of them. Like when you cut open a tiny cable and there's just a bunch of tiny wires coming out. And that's the fur, it's across them. And some have this copper coating. Some of them have more a silver or a tin or an aluminum color. Some of them are more speckled. All very metallic shimmery, which wasn't noticeable down on the ground, but up here with a little bit more light from the lightning coming through the leaves, it's definitely more noticeable. That, same as everything else, they seem to be biometal creatures. The figure waits for a bit as none of the cats, well, the cats do what cats do, and none of them seem to take particularly much notice, and nobody seems to care too much. Eventually one cat kind of shows up, kind of trots over. You have no idea what the age of these different cats are. Can't really tell any difference in stature or anything. Some of them are smaller, some of them are larger. This one seems pretty average sized. You have no idea if they have a hierarchy or if it works. But the cat comes forward, kind of just lies down in front of the figure. The figure then moves to the side, opens up the compartment again, lifts out, and puts down the little canister, or the not so little canister that they had gotten beforehand. The cat then begins talking. It's a purring talking. Underlying every note they make, you hear both this purring sound that you expect from a cat of kinds, and then underneath that as well, there's the grating, scratching sound of metal on metal, just very faintly underneath everything, all of the sound. As it begins talking, "Thank you, my friend. We need this. Come, let me show you what we are working on. Friend, you do know you cannot return now." The figure just kind of looks for a bit, angles its head up, whereas we're kind of wistfully just sitting there, and then nods. Then both the cat and the figure stand up. As they begin moving, the cat begins describing. "So as you know, we have been searching for a way to fix the cloud. We do not like the cloud. Things do not grow correctly. Constant rain. We have found Savior, but for the Savior to work, we need the cloud to be gone. And we know that the factory does not want the cloud gone, but we will remove it. We will find a way. In fact, we think we have." And then walking forward, they move past and into a tree. And there's this kind of, it's not really a staircase, it's just kind of this swirling, spiraling thing of foot and hand holds as they climb down the intersection of this extremely wide pipe. It is several meters across, the pipe itself, and the tree itself is much larger. You climb down a section, and then this pipe seems to merge and open up into a much larger space that seems to be the entirety of this tree. And you reach the bottom. Down towards the bottom, there's several passages going off. Some cats going backward and forth between these, climbing up and climbing down the side of the wall. "My friend, we have gotten the lift working again." And the three of you, the cat, the figure, and you, move to the center of this area, and there's this platform, and just very barely underneath it you can see what looks like some kind of hydraulic system, or a number of hydraulic systems underneath. But hold on tightly, we haven't got it working entirely correctly. As the figure stands and then kind of braces itself with its metal not too difficult, you get on and you just kind of prepare yourself. Cat doesn't seem to do much of anything, it just gets on. And then in the briefest moment, this platform you're standing on is jettisoned into the sky at extreme speeds as what feels like just a massive number of pistons underneath you just thump, and shoot you upwards. As the platform's going up, it's like thump, it begins tilting to one side because the figure's too heavy. But you're going so fast that it's, by the time that it reaches the top, it hasn't tilted too far, and then it kind of goes clang, bang, bang, as it lands on something, and you are now at the very, very top of this tree. Around you, you see the clouds and the skies, and looking down a bit, you are one of the highest trees in this entire forest. Everywhere around it, the tangle just goes outward, and it's really pretty from up here. The emerald of the leaves is... It shimmers so beautifully in the lightning whenever it strikes, it just reflects off everything. As the purple lightning just kind of flashes across the sky, and it's mirrored by a million green lightnings all around you. And ahead of you, as you've gotten off the now standing plate of metal, which has moved to the side of this hole that just goes down the center, in front of you is this contraption, a kind of orrery, the kind of thing that you use to align lenses to catch light. It moves in very specific ways, and kind of when the light shines on it in the right ways, then the focus of the light can be used for many things. That's what it looks like, except here these glass pieces, you look at them and they're not directly lenses. They have very strange forms. They're wavy kind of, most of them are circular, but they're not convex or concave. They just, the surfaces of them are very wobbly. And there's many of them in this metallic arm structure going up and around. You see probably over 100 of them. Some of them moving fairly quickly, just perpetually, through some mechanism that you don't know. Some of them moving a lot more slowly. Some of them not moving at all until you go up really close, and you can tell that they are very faintly moving at extremely slow paces. So thank you for this, says the figure, and moves over to the side. It says the cat, and moves over to the side as the figure just kind of looks around at the contraption in front of you. Cat goes around the side, then kind of hops between two of these arms to go into the center of this orrery, as the center is a little bit convex. It just lowers slightly into this pit, and in the center there's this metal set of 3 pipes next to each other, kind of branch out a bit. And right on the center of it, see an object. It's hard to see between all the moving arms, but you move it a little bit closer and you take a look, and it looks like a little rod wedged between the pipes with wings at the top. Still made from metal. It looks like some kind of brass or something of the sort. And the cat uses one of its paws, opens up the container, kind of pours some of this tar substance into each of the 3 pipes holding the rod in the center. And then it waits for a moment, empties out the container, closes it, and returns it to the figure. Thank you very much. With this, it should be ready. Now we have to wait. The figure kind of cocks its head and turns over to the cat, and then kind of makes a hand motion. And the cat looks up at the figure. Ah, yes, we did not tell you what was going to happen, did we? Well, when these align, You see, there is a beautiful thing above the clouds. There are many suns. A beautiful world, but these clouds have been here for so long that we have not seen them. So, when these pieces align, when the tar is ready, it is heated up, and it will glow, and the glow will heat the rod, and as the wings flare up, the glass pieces in exactly the right order will create a beam strong enough to shoot through the clouds. With that, they will disperse. We will get the advent of suns again. And with that, we can finally have the world we deserve. Near Lathe will finally fall. It is about time. With that, this kind of chuckling sound comes from the cat. And then, strangely, between the clouds, you hear the voice of Soren Lestrade. In your mind, maybe? Nobody else seems to notice it. He sounds a bit concerned. As he said, I think that's enough for now. If you stay, I cannot guarantee that things will be okay. You should come back. And with that, you don't know how, but you just kind of think, okay, should I go back? And then as you will yourself to go back a bit, you feel yourself pulled back upward. The same feeling of both wind tunnel and thin plastic tubing at the same time as you're pulled back through the clouds and up through the top of the bottle, and you land within yourself. And from here now, what you couldn't see beforehand is just very vaguely glinting from between the clouds. You can see 7 suns, each different colors of the rainbow. This faintly red, blue, green, yellow, purple, orange. The last one seems to be black, but it glows anyway, which is the strangest sensation. You've never seen black light directly. There's black light, but that's more of a purple. This is truly black, but it's glowing anyway. And you see it just faintly every now and then as the clouds shift. Lestrade shows up next to you. As much as I like Naithwal, I don't know if now is the time to be there. Things are getting to a head. It's been in a state of turmoil for a long time. I think it might be getting worse. I suppose we'll see. I have a bit of business to attend to, but I'm glad you made it, and I'm sorry it was on such short notice that I only arrived, but I'm glad you were here. I hope you have a safe trip still. And with that, everything darkens around you. And with that ends our story for today, as you have gotten to visit Naithwal. I like Naithwal a lot. Naithwal's fun. It's a completely metal place. In all senses of the word.